right, guys, how you doing? Can you hear me okay? Mic check. Are you here, guys?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, we're
wonderful.
hearing you.
All right. How are we doing today? I wonder what happened to everybody else.
There are people I'm stressed.
It's that time.
Yeah, we just had interim Friday gone, so
Mm.
a lot of persons, me included, weren't really able to do the assignment on top of that.
Which right.
The previous assignment from last week. I had started it
Oh,
and finished the
right.
elevation, but I'm still trying to finish up the span.
Right. You mean the class exercise?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I noticed just a few people had submitted. Um, but some still submitted. So you hold on, you had interim Friday gone, right?
Yes, so the entire
So
week before that, we were trying to make models, come up with sheets, and
okay,
yeah.
right. All right, well, no worries. Um, so let's see now. So everybody else trying to recover?
Yeah, and they're probably going to buy materials as well, because this morning I had gone to Ports to buy some
Hmm.
PVC there. So, and we also
Okay,
have a next assignment due Monday that I don't think anybody has started.
that's just for studio.
For materials, and it's a lot of research you have to do.
Ah, so it's coming
Yeah.
around to that time.
Yep.
I see you. I see you. Okay. Well, we do have we do have an um assignment that's also coming up.
A
So
long-term
round
assignment or a class assignment?
this is class. So this is we're pretty much in the middle of the semester now, right? Um, this is about like the sixth week.
Midterm.
All right. Hold on a second. Yeah. Right. So we have an assignment that I wanted to talk about today. Um, it's not, we do have some time before that is due, but we wanted to start to work on it. As a matter of fact, we'll do some of it in the class here to kind of reduce the pressure, you know? So it's going to be pretty much the same thing. We're going to talk a little and then we're going to do an exercise, the same kind of routine. Only this time around, the exercise that we do will automatically contribute to the assignment. So that way, hopefully some of the pressure ease because I know that it's around that time. So, um, and for those of you who still working on exercise 4, right? That is a class exercise. What I would suggest, right? Exercise 4, because that is the last InDesign, that's the last Illustrator exercise. So right now we're moving into InDesign. So what I would say is don't prioritize that exercise over what we're doing today. Because if time, as we know, time is limited, and if you were to dedicate some time, and if someone were trying to catch up, what we're doing today is going to work a bit more. So I would move to that. Yeah, Powell, question?
Good day, sir. I sent you an email the other day.
Okay, cool. I will check on it to see what's happening. Mm-hmm. So what we're gonna be doing today is InDesign. By any chance, anybody have InDesign? Anybody got their hands on it? Got it installed? No? Nobody here? Let me
Sir,
ask.
Adobe InDesign, sir?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was able to get it from someone.
Sir, it's not running on my laptop any at all.
Yep. Yes. Welcome to computing problems. Don't worry, that computing problems is a regular feature of this module. All right. Wait a minute. Anybody here ever use InDesign?
No,
No?
sir.
No,
Right.
sir.
Yeah, it's usually new. So the mission that we're on today is that I want to give you guys, I want you guys to have a method of doing presentation boards, right? Especially moving on from now, you guys are probably going to be doing a lot of presentation boards. You need to lay out your drawing, stuff like that. And you can use Photoshop to do it. You can use Illustrator to do it. You can also use InDesign, right? And this is like our third software now. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about InDesign. We're going to do a little class activity, and then we're going to do the exercise. Same routine as before. So InDesign, we started from the most popular one. Hold on, let me share this to the other screen. So we started from the most popular software. We started from Photoshop. Full screen. Secondary monitor. Yeah, right. We started from the most popular software, and then we'll work our way down into these other ones. So, of course, most people probably heard of Photoshop when we did the Photoshop. Some persons heard of Illustrator, and now we've gone to InDesign, where not much people hear of InDesign, which is perfectly normal. You know, that's what we do here. So, I know this is going to be fresh for some people, but I'm telling you, you guys, if you use I call it the trifecta, Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop, you will be an unstoppable force. All right? Trust me. So let's learn a little bit about InDesign. And the word that comes to InDesign is desktop publishing, which is probably, that term is maybe new to some of us. So desktop publishing is kind of like the word publishing. When we think of that, maybe we think of newspapers and stuff like that. So publishing simply means you're preparing stuff for the public, right? And desktop publishing is like a term that is known whenever you create like graphics and stuff on the computer for the purpose of distributing to the public, right? So think of newspapers, yes, but then also think of like news, some kind of news report, some kind of thing that you send out. It's different from a flyer. It's not a flyer or a poster. Usually it contains more information, right? Sometimes a poster or a flyer just have a one picture and some text and it done. When we talk about desktop publishing, you're probably trying to fit many different things together on one sheet or on multiple sheets, which is very similar to the type of presentations that you guys need to do, right? So desktop publishing is kind of like the culmination of everything that we've learned so far. You're going to hear of this term BIM. You're going to start doing that next semester. But it's similar to that, where BIM is kind of like taking everything from the architectural industry and fusing it together in one platform. That is what desktop publishing is.
It's taking all of the Illustrator and the Photoshop and the photos and the text and everything, and it's carrying everything together in one platform, right? Desktop publishing is not Word. And the reason I say this is because anybody know of Microsoft Publisher? It's not that popular anymore. Anybody ever hear of that one? A little bit? Nobody? Let me turn on my messages too. Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can message me if your mic not working. So nobody ever hear of Publisher? So Publisher is, like we have Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, you had one that's called Microsoft Publisher. It used to be popular, not that popular anymore, but it still exists. In any case, desktop publishing is not a Word document, right? It goes a little bit further than that. Because when you think of the word desktop publishing, you think of a lot of text, and when we think of text, we think of Word. So Word, like when we type a document in Word, like think of an essay you do for your history assignment or something, you can't just type in directly. It's about the text information primarily. But desktop publishing now is about photos and putting everything together. You guys here have seen a magazine, right? And if you ever notice how a magazine is, it has a lot of information. It's usually very graphical. That is kind of what desktop publishing is. Back in the day, it used to be done by hand. Of course, nowadays it's done all digital, right? So a Word software is primarily used to compose documents, and desktop publishing is intended to kind of merge documents and documents and graphics. So you guys are going to be doing a lot of graphics. If you think about where InDesign is on the spectrum of doing documents, it is right along the more complex, more robust software. For example, Joel, are you here, Joel? Yes, I see your text. Whenever you're going to do up an essay for your next, I don't know, history assignment, what program would you use to type up your essay in? Exactly, you'd probably use Word. So InDesign is like Word Photoshop. That's the best way to explain it. So InDesign works just like Word. And you might be saying, yeah, but I've never heard, I've never gone to an office before and persons are typing up a document and then bring up InDesign. They would bring up Word. So InDesign is Word for the graphic designer. You guys here, I know that if you needed to design maybe a nice presentation board for your studio assignment, you probably would not use Word. You probably would not use PowerPoint. Maybe some of you might use PowerPoint. But maybe most of you would gravitate towards a more graphic-oriented software, a Photoshop, or Illustrator, or Affinity Editor, or one of these more graphical programs, right? Am I right, Torian? Is that what you'd gravitate to? Something more graphical? Is Torian here? Remember you can, okay, cool. Yeah, man. Right, exactly. So you'd gravitate to something more graphical. Now, InDesign is what I expect all of you that's in architecture to gravitate to whenever you have to put large bodies of text together. And I'm telling you, this is the least possible one. Most people go to is Word when you have to deal with text. But when you have to deal with text and graphics, this is where Word is going to kind of leave you a little bit out in the cold. I don't know if anybody ever try throwing a picture in Word or Google Docs and the picture jumping all over the place, and you kind of want the picture to work with the text, and you're just fighting the picture with the text. I don't know if anybody ever experienced that. But yeah, that's Word. But InDesign is made for the graphic artists, right? So at this point where you guys have been introduced to, this is your third Adobe software, I want to bring up this point that this poster that you see on the right could be designed by any one of these software, and it could have done it to look just like this. You would never know whether it was done in Word, PowerPoint, Publisher, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, or InDesign. This poster on the right could have been built by any one of these software, right? And that's the point that I want to get to, is that more and more, as you learn more software, you're going to start realizing there are some overlaps. You're going to start realizing, but hold on, but we could I do this in this software? So why may I use that software? You know what I mean? You're going to start seeing these overlaps because, you know, especially in a case like this. The thing is that every software has a core use. What is the core use of PowerPoint? Who can tell me what
Presentation, sir.
exactly? You can use PowerPoint to build a flyer for sure. You can even use it to edit videos, kinda. But PowerPoint is primarily a slide presentation software, right? Illustrator is it's graphic design, yes, but it focuses on vector, line work, right? We know Photoshop focuses on images. InDesign focuses on desktop publishing. So this is why I started off with what is desktop publishing? Is when you're dealing with a lot of graphics and text. So if you need to write an essay and the essay have to be in APA format, you don't need no picture, you don't need no graphics and fancy this, then that's word processing. Yeah, Levy.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. When we will be able to differentiate the one of the vector illustration, sir, from the others? Illustrator.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. That example that I showed you before, this flyer here could be built by any one of these software, and you wouldn't know which one used to build it.
Yes, so that's what I'm asking you. If say we use the Illustrator to make it, and
Right.
wouldn't that vector nature of it stand out? So wouldn't we be able to differentiate it?
Kinda, yeah, but if you saved it as a JPEG image, you wouldn't really know. Maybe if you save it as a PDF, then yeah, you could probably say, oh, well, then again, no, not really. Because Photoshop, PowerPoint and Word actually does in the background manipulate vectors as well, just like Illustrator. So if you build this flyer in PowerPoint and save it as a PDF, and you build this flyer in Illustrator and save it as a PDF, you wouldn't know which one build it. Because both of those can do vector, believe it or not. Even though PowerPoint is not like a vector first software, but it does use vectors.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So the point what I'm getting at is that, especially this is your first step into architectural computing, you're going to start seeing a lot of overlap. And the thing that you always have to remind yourself of is that what is the primary purpose of this software? That is where you always have to go back to, right? And then that is where you should go from there on. So because Word is a word processing program, if you have to write large bodies of text, Word is your guy. Now, if you have to do large bodies of text and the graphics, InDesign is your guy, right? So InDesign is a nice little program there because it looks something like this. Well, this is kind of the older version, right? We're going to open it up later. We're going to try squeezing all that today, so we're going to open it up later. The interesting thing about InDesign is the way that InDesign is laid out, it's laid out for the purpose of books, right? Multi-page documents, kind of like Word. Just like with Word, you can do one page in Word and call it a flyer. You could do one page in InDesign and call it a flyer as well. But this is kind of the main difference with InDesign, is that it is first a desktop publishing program. It also has some other special features. It does have vector built in, just like Illustrator, right? So most of Illustrator tools are in InDesign, and also graphic tools from Photoshop are there as well. So it's kind of like this interesting hybrid between the two. But the main purpose of it is that InDesign is made to receive graphics that you make in Photoshop and Illustrator. So Photoshop, you edit a photo, make it look nice, you drop it in InDesign and lay it out on the page. In Illustrator, maybe you did a colored elevation like what we did last week, and then you drop it on the page in InDesign. So that's how InDesign is kind of made to work. You produce the graphic content using the other two brothers and sisters, which is Photoshop and Illustrator, and then you put it in InDesign to lay it out on the sheet. Right? Now, as I said, guys, like, you didn't have to do that. You could do a presentation plan in Photoshop, print it, and you're done. You could do that in Illustrator like what we did last week, print it and you're done. So it's not that you have to put it in InDesign in order to produce your work. But this is what you call the use case. This is how it is meant to work. And InDesign really shines when you have to deal with stuff with multiple pages. So imagine you're pinning up a 10-page studio presentation, or it could even be a 3-page studio presentation. InDesign is kind of set up to handle multiple pages and perform really well, right? So InDesign has all the features that Word has. Word only has a tiny piece of the features that InDesign have. All right. So for those of you who thinking about Word and InDesign and what's the difference, so think of it that way, right? So InDesign have everything plus graphic stuff, right? And InDesign, just like for us in architecture, we use AutoCAD and we use Revit and we use all these architectural software, and our output is architectural drawings and presentations. In a publishing, there's a white box here covering my text. But anyway, in a publishing publishing house, meaning somewhere that publishes magazines, like if you guys ever see some of these magazines that you see come out locally, it's done by a publishing house. And InDesign is to a publishing house what AutoCAD is to for architecture, right? People who are in publishing, they don't use Word. That is for sure. You understand? You come to them with Word, they would be like, it's like somebody in architecture and you're coming to them with Microsoft Paint. Anybody know Microsoft Paint?
Yes,
Whatever.
sir.
Exactly. It's like a disrespect thing. You understand? So yeah, so InDesign is the tool for the persons that do a lot of that work on magazines and that kind of stuff, right? So of course we're not necessarily working on magazines and stuff, but obviously we are using the tool because we work on architectural presentations, right? And this kind of gives you an idea of the use. So InDesign superpower is multi-page documents, right? That presentation that I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago, remember this, where is it here? This 20-odd page presentation. This presentation, each of these pages were done in Illustrator, and I'm telling you, the Illustrator file could not even open, right? And this is only 20 pages. I mean, InDesign, you could do like 5,000 pages and it wouldn't break a sweat, right? So it is built for multi-page, right? Illustrator, you know, is graphics, and Photoshop, you know, is all about photos, right? So we're going to just jump out of this now because we can always talk about more and more, but one of the focus that I want us to look on today is going to be this. Look at this beautiful presentation. What do you think, Catherine? Does this look like your presentation?
No, sir.
I just troubled you. Well, you definitely don't want your presentation to look like this, right? Absolute madness. Like, look at, I mean, it does have the information. It has a title. It's in 10 million different fonts. It has a circulation diagram, but it has, you know, the things are all over the place. Nothing is aligned. The pictures are not even aligned. Oh my goodness. It's like the worst presentation ever. Now you guys live and die by your presentation boards. So this is what this is going to be the topic that we're going to focus on today, right? It's not just about learning InDesign. That's easy breezy, right? The main takeaway that I want you to have is I want you to have some strategies for putting together information on a presentation board, right? And that is our next assignment that we have coming up, right? And I want to show you this strategy. It is a 4-step strategy. I call it the design funnel. So I don't know if you guys ever have to put together a presentation and you have a blank canvas and you're like, okay, all right, where do I put, you know, the floor plan or the photo of the model? I need to, you guys just did a presentation recently, by the way. So you had to do this. Did you do it? You did it by hand, right? You didn't do it on the computer. Am I right?
Yes, sir. We have to do it by hand. But
Right,
for our digital portfolio, this is kind of like what we have to do as well.
right. Exactly. So this is where the conversation starts for you guys in terms of doing layouts, because it's going to play a big part. And going forward, like the next semester, I believe, so all your presentations are going to be digital. You're going to have to contend with printing, you know, and you're going to probably be say, oh yes, that information that Mr. Williams did tell me last semester about DPI and this and that. That's when it's going to start to come into play, right? So anyway, when you're laying out the presentation, I want to give you guys a method for doing that, and I call it the funnel, the design funnel. At the very top of the, you know, like a funnel, like you pour stuff in so you don't spill, right? At the very top of the funnel is the first step is going to be about creating a theme. Like you have a blank canvas and you have to present your ritual. Well, that gone already. The next one you have coming up is where you have coming up next? Climate?
We're still doing climate, sir.
You're
That's
doing
what we're
climate. Right. So you have a blank canvas and you have, hopefully you have your information. You have your photos. You already did your drawings. Maybe you did something in 3D. But you have all this content and you need to put it together on a presentation board. So the first thing you think about is theme. And theme comes from inspiration, right? And that could either be graphic, it could be somebody's work, maybe a famous artist or something like that. It could be some portfolio that you see online, anything. Just some graphical driving force to guide how you go forward with a theme. And I have a little time is it? Do we have time for this? Hopefully, right. I have a little exercise here on the mirror board Hopefully you guys can jump on it. We have actually 2 class activities. This is like 5 seconds. It's like nothing, guys, right? This is like free marks. But when we talk about theme, right? I have this question here. I want you to organize the visual assets below into 2 themes: calm, controllable, positive, versus manic, crazy, wild, uncontrollable. What do you think, Duncan? What does this one look like? Which one are the 2?
Definitely calm, sir.
Exactly. All right. What about this one? Anybody? Who want to guess this one?
Sir.
All right, cool. Could be calm.
Consistency.
There you go. And this is
Right.
like the easiest one because it spells calm. But you could write the word calm in a crazy handwriting like this. The point I'm getting to is that a theme can be anything. It could be something like color. These colors are calm. This word is calm and it spells the word calm, right? Even a piece of architecture. So there are many things that you can draw from that resembles calm. And the point of what I'm saying is that these are all themes, right? So themes help you to get some direction in where you want to go. Now, the method that we're going to use for the assignment is going to be graphic, right? It's going to be, we are going to look on some graphic themes and reverse engineer it to come up with a theme. So this is the first kind of step when you're doing you have a blank canvas, you choose a theme, and the theme don't have to be a word like calm, right? It could be simplistic, clean line. It could be flowing. You know what I mean? And you can use different things to represent that. So anyway, let's say you have an idea of what you want your presentation to be. Suppose it has to do with the ocean. So your theme would be like ocean and climate. So it would be blues and, I don't know, things that you think represent the ocean. You just need to have an idea of that. Find some pictures on Pinterest. Find some pictures on Google. Sketch something interesting, but you're just collecting a pot of inspiration themes. Now, the next thing on the line is going to be to organize yourself. This has to do with information, right? This comes down to the raw data. I have 3 photos to put on this presentation board. I have 3 paragraphs. I have photographs. I have 2 rendered images coming from SketchUp. I have a floor plan. Like, these are actual raw data that you need to put on your plans. So you need to gather that information. And when I say gather it, meaning like, if you know you have to take a photo of your model, chances are you're going to have to clean up the photo. You're going to have to deal with the background so that it look presentable. So when I say prepare your content, organize yourself, gather all of your content together. Some of you might even need stock footage. Maybe you need a picture of a tree because you plan to put it in the background. So you go and grab up these things. So you put a list of all of the things that you need for the presentation, right? And you have them. So it's a combination of typed information, some kind of text, images, photos, graphic stuff. You put them all together. And what you find out is that is at the top of the funnel. So this is when you have a whole bag of stuff. You have ideas. I want it to be, it's climate, so I want to have clouds and I want it to be blue. And then you say, all right, I have four floor plans. I have a site plan to show. So you have all this content at the top of the funnel. And the idea is that you want to start to narrow it down. So you're going to go through a list of filters. So the first filter is going to be when you organize yourself. So for example, if you have 10 pictures of your model, you only need 2. So the filter is, what 2 am I going to use? All right. You following me, Powell?
Yes, sir.
Right. If you have to do some kind of write-up, introduction, then write it. Maybe you're going to need, maybe you have multiple rendered images. You can only use one. So you need to pick the one you're going to use. So that's the first filter. The first filter is organize yourself. The next filter is going to be layout. And this is where we're going to take 15 minutes to do this class activity, right? And layout has to do with what you call wireframing. And what I want you guys to do to understand what wireframing is, you can jump on the mirror board. If you just follow this arrow all the way over here, I have an example here. This is a presentation board. I didn't create this presentation board. I just grabbed it off the internet. And what I'm doing is I'm reverse engineering this presentation board. So I'm creating a wireframe diagram of the structure of this board. So the first thing I do, I break it down into information zones. So I say, oh, so I noticed that even though it's not even in my language, I noticed that location is here. They have the title on the top right. They have some kind of title here. They have some kind of form related thing here. These look kind of like features. I don't know. I don't understand the language. But just looking on these clues, I get an idea of the zone. And there's a big rendered image down here. So when I reverse engineer this into the information zones, this is what it looks like. Now, if I break this down a little further into more design block, right? If I block out these designs, I start to get things like shapes. Now, the thing is, like if you notice what I have here, and this is what I mean by design blockout. Come on, thing. Right. If you notice that, use red. I have a box here. And that box there is representing, okay, I have some information that's grouped together here. And I have this body of text information that is grouped together here. So that is represented by these boxes. Now, if you look at this, it's not as if, you know, these are multiple different shapes. This is the shape of some kind of a site location. This is maybe a Google photo, but the information grouped together forms this shape. So what I'm doing here, I'm blocking out this information on kind of reverse engineering it. And if you guys look on this diagram here, you can see that it is a kind of an indication of what this is showing. So this is exactly what a wireframing diagram does. Before you even start to talk about graphic stuff and all of that stuff, you have to decide where your information going to go and at least kind of block out what you want it to be like. Now, this is where your theme come in, because if your theme was grids, then you would start to grid this out in a grid. You get what I'm saying? But your theme don't have to be something with shape. Your theme could be rainbow, and it has nothing to do with the shape, but when you put in the colors, then it will look like a rainbow. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to jump on the mirror board now. I want each of you to pick any one of these presentation boards up here, anyone. And I want you to do what I did right here. I want you to grab a board, just grab one of these guys, put your name there, grab one of these boards. Then I want you to block out the information zones. See if you can identify where the zones are. And then I want you to block out the design of those zones next. Right? You guys understanding me?
Not so much, sir.
So if I do another example here, so let's say pick one by random, maybe this one. Let me put it below here. And what we're doing, we're reverse engineering a presentation board that has already been designed. Right? And the reason we're doing this is I want you guys to understand when you do a wireframe concept for your board, what it is like. So we're reverse engineering one. So if I should reverse engineer this, and the first thing I want to look on is where's my information? I say, all right then. I could say, and this is just usually using simple shapes. Here, so, and I'm just using some shapes in in Miro. Did I enable editing? Let me check. No, okay, good. So you guys can edit now. Right. Oops. Where did I go? Right. So I'm going to use simple shapes. I'm going to use blue or something here. Oops. Right. So I'm going to use blue here. Yeah, good. So I'm going to build it right here. So right here, I have a render. I could make this text a little bigger. Then I have what do I have in the middle here, guys? Anybody?
An exploded axonometric.
Exactly, I have an exploded view. Maybe what I would do is I would just do exploded this way and just rotate it. Now, what you're doing here, all you're doing, you're just mapping out how did they lay out the information. So exploded was a kind of vertical thing, right? In this first one, we're not worried about the graphics so much. We're just worried about the information. And then they have some other information here, maybe, and it don't matter what the language is, just whatever you think it is, right? And I'm just using boxes in thing there. So I would say that we have, I'm just going to put the word information here. Here. Down here, I kind of see a bubble diagram. Right? And then towards here now, I think this is maybe the floor plan. So this could be, so I'm going to say plan. Sorry, there's a mosquito. And I'm going to say plan here. So this is me mapping out the zone of this here, right? And the next thing beside it is going to be more of the graphics, right? It's going to be more of the graphics. So I would say that for the graphics, it would be now trying to, so like if I zoom in here, I have it has like an image and then it has some text below it. See where it have some text and then an image here. Is almost like it has the plan here. It has the plan here. It has a key over here. Let me erase the word plan. And I'm gonna just take out the text out of this one because I don't this for the graphics. Let me just put this in a box so that we don't get it confused. So here is one. Let me use a square box like that. Right. No fill and give me a solid line. a black solid line. There we go. So what I'm doing over here now, I'm trying to figure out the graphics, right? So let me put this over here for now. So I have a plan here, I have some text here, and pretty much this is the same thing here. I kind of have a text, a plan, a key over here, and I think I have that around 3 times. So it's almost like they have some plan, some is plan and some is text. So I would say this is text, text, and text. And let me put that in a different color like yellow or something like that, right? So that is what is happening over here. Maybe it's a little smaller. I can worry about the size after. Then I would say over here now we have some text. We have an image. We have a large body of text. Oops, let me use yellow for text. Then we have 2 elevations. You guys see what I'm doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then we have kind of like a morphing thing happening here. So we have like 3 different plans. 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2 columns of text, like here and here. And then we have some kind of bubble diagram on this side, like that, right? And then of course in the middle, we have these 3 levels of exploded view. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. Let's line this up a little better. Here we go. And then we have this big picture below. So what I've done now, I've kind of broken this down now graphically, right? So right, mic check, yes. So this is the wireframe, this is the graphical blockout. This has to do with the graphics, like the actual content, you know, things like titles. I will try to break them out like this. Whereas this is just dealing with the information and the zones. So what I want you guys to do is to reverse engineer these that you select, because this is what you should do going forward. We're kind of going back and then we're going to go forward. So this is one of our class activities for today, guys. Same as usual. So you just put your name at the top, right? Pick a presentation board. You can just move it down so that it doesn't duplicate. And I want you to spend a couple minutes, and I want you to see if you can break down the presentation board like this. Kind of figure out what's the rhythm of how the layout, the information, and the graphics. See if you can deduce that from some of these. These are all random boards just picked from the internet, guys. All right? So see if you can do that. I want you to take like 15 minutes and see if you can work that out for me. All right? Yeah, question?
Yes, sir. I'm having a challenge rotating the shape. How do I do that?
There should be a little icon like this. You seen it on my screen?
I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing that? Right,
on my one. I can find me perhaps.
Levy.
Somewhere to the left.
Levy. Where there now?
Yes,
Kind of sign in. So you write your name on the board so I can search for you. What's up with this?
You were hovering over me. How do I do that?
This one?
No, sir. The one with the blue, with two blue ones, sir.
Oh, right. This one. Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
Sir.
Right. Rotating. Yeah, it should be right here. See?
I'm not seeing it. Oh, I see. Well, okay.
Oh,
okay.
right. You see it now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. You can delete these question boxes if you want. All right.
We can just
Yeah,
push
man,
it
yeah,
up.
man. It's just there as a placeholder. So please just delete it and thing.
Use it for the indentation.
Right. Cool. And some of you is landscape is no problem. You just have to make yours a bit smaller if it's landscape is yours. All right, but just make it fit on the page. So this is one of our activities for today, guys. And you see these, you see these presentation boards here. When you find these things on the internet, you say, wow, these presentation boards look nice. How them get all these graphics and stuff, and that's what I kind of want us to focus on today. It's not only necessarily the tools, but it's just having a method to come up with a presentation board, and that is what makes a presentation board stand out. Like it just doesn't magically look nice, if you follow this method that I'm telling you guys now, which is the first thing, you choose a theme. Theme at least helps you to color, shape, angles, I don't know, just think of things that, and usually a theme comes from whatever you are presenting. So you're presenting something to do with some kind of cabin, maybe it's earth tones, or maybe it's in the forest, so it's very leafy, and you know what I mean? Like, these things help to just add some direction to where you're going next. And remember, the next step is to organize yourself, right? Filter out all of the crap. Like, when sometimes you have an overload, what you will discover is that the more you further you go in architecture, you're going to find that you have too much information. Like, you have so much photos, you have so much text, you have so much to talk about for your design. How is all that going to fit on one sheet? So you have to trim down the data, which that's why that's the first part of the funnel at the top. The first filter is trim down the data to exactly what you need. What's the next funnel? Layout the board, right? Do a wireframe of your board. That is the next one. You can use any tool to do a wireframe. We're using Miro now. You could sketch it in a book. Doesn't matter, right? And to understand what a wireframe is, that's why we're doing this exercise. We're reverse engineering, I would say, some successful presentation boards to find out what's really going on under the hood of these presentations. All right. All right. You have 5 more minutes. I'll take a drink of water while you guys work. All right, guys. I see some people here. Remember the first one. Mic check, you hearing me? Okay, good. Remember the first one that you're doing is just the zone. You don't business nothing about the graphics. We're not dealing with the fact that, for example, this one here have some round stuff or no, it's just the zone. All right, guys. Now, while you guys put this together, right?